Welcome back, students. Welcome to the course Natural Language Processing. Our today's topic is Ambiguity in NLP. My name is Priyanka Gupta. I am working as Assistant Professor in Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Data Science Department at Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, Hyderabad. So today I am going to cover the ambiguity, and we can say uncertainty in the language processing. So I will discuss about the introduction of ambiguity, different types of ambiguity. So there are 5 types of ambiguities are there, that is lexical, syntactic, semantic, discourse and pragmatic. So in that syntactic also this is of 2 types, scope and attachment, and discourse is having one more variant, that is anaphoric. So let's start. Ambiguity and uncertainty in language. So ambiguity is in computational linguistics is a situation where a word, or we can say a sentence, may have more than one meaning. So whenever in a sentence, a paragraph, the word and sentence is having the more than one meaning, that means that is ambiguity is there. So that is, a sentence may be interpreted in more than one way. So that is a proper definition of ambiguity. Ambiguity leads to uncertainty in some cases in choosing the right meaning of a sentence. So if somewhere we are lacking with the just lacking with the choosing the right meaning of the that particular word or sentence, then uncertainty will occur. So especially we can say while processing the natural language by the computer system. So if the human does, then they will take care of, but if machine does, we have to give the model according to model, that is machine is going to interpret. So in that case the uncertainty can occur. Consider the following sentence for an example. Suppose Raj tried to reach his friends on the mobile, but he did not attend. So there can be many meaning of this sentence particularly. So one sentence, in this sentence actually we have the presence of lexical, syntactic and anaphoric ambiguity. These 3 types of ambiguity found in this sentence. So first we will see what is lexical ambiguity in this sentence particularly. The word tried. So tried word is there. That means actually the Raj has attempt for to make a call to his friend. He not judged, he not tasted anything else. Also the word reach means establishment, that is going to make communication between not gain, a pass, a strive. So that is a lexical ambiguity of this sentence and these 2 words. Syntactic ambiguity. So the phrase here in the sentence, on the mobile is going to interpret attached to reach. So it is actually has been just attached to reach a word, and that means using the mobile. This means the Raj has using the mobile to make a call to his friend. So it is not attached to friend actually. So that is separated from the this particular phrase. Now we will see anaphoric ambiguity. So the anaphor, that he is there, so he is actually interpreting the friend, not Raj. So Raj, the sentence has been started by Raj. Raj is doing, he is making call, he is doing something, but he is just referring to his friend by just keeping the word he. So it means that is anaphor for this particular sentence. So likewise that these 3 ambiguity we found in this particular one sentence. Now, ambiguity can be challenging task in natural language understanding. Why? Because the machine has to understand here, according to the model, what can be the interpretation. So, the process of handling the ambiguity is called the disambiguation. So, when we are going to remove the ambiguities, that is more than one word or more than one sentence, removing those things is called disambiguation. So that is a method actually. And ambiguity presents the almost all the steps of natural language processing. So when we are doing the natural language processing, pre-processing, so all the steps will come when we are doing the when we are working with the ambiguity. So first step will be the lexical analysis, next will be the syntactic analysis, next semantic analysis, discourse analysis, and pragmatic analysis. Ambiguity actually come across when we are just doing the text processing. So in that case, with the sentences and with the word, the ambiguity occurs. So we have to just go through with all the steps. What are those steps? The first is lexical analysis, then syntactic analysis, then semantic analysis, then discourse analysis, and then pragmatic analysis. So we will see these all steps one by one in the next slides. So these as called as a different types of ambiguity also. So the first type we will discuss lexical ambiguity. So these ambiguities are very important to understand, students. So lexical ambiguity, this type of ambiguity of a single word. So a word, we can say a word can be ambiguous with the present respect to the syntactic class. So actually, the word is actually referring to one of the class, right? So for example, let's take a sentence. The word silver can be noun, adjective, or verb in these three sentences. So first we read the sentences, then we will interpret those. So first sentence is she bagged 2 silver medals. Next sentence is she made a silver speech. Next is his worries had silvered his hair. So these three sentences are interpreting different meanings with the same word. So actually, when we are going to just do the disambiguation, if we want to remove this ambiguity, same words repeating at more than one place, so then we need to just classify those. So classification can be with the POS tagging. So likewise, we can just put it as a noun, we can put these words as an adjective, a verb, like those. So that will be the right analysis for doing this. So it is a class of ambiguity particularly caused by a word, its multiple senses. So especially when when the word is a part of sentence, that is a phrase. So in that case, that will be the class of ambiguity. A word can have the multiple meanings under the different part of a speech. So we have seen in the earlier slide that 3 sentences were there, and that were interpreting the different meanings of as per the different sentences with the same words. So that we can say different part of a speech that has been we have to create as a lexical category, that such as noun, verb, pronoun, preposition, adverb, adjective, in that also singular and plural. So likewise that the segregation will be carried out. Also, if we will see under each POS tagging category, they may have the multiple different sentences. So although it has been used with the POS tags, but it is having the different meaning with the different sentences, with the context. Lexical ambiguity is about choosing with sense of a particular word under a particular POS category. And also the lexical ambiguity can be resolved by lexical category disambiguation. That is nothing but the part of speech tagging. We can say word sense disambiguation. So this is another type of method that is going to sense the word context as per the sentence. So next type of ambiguity is syntactic ambiguity. Syntactic ambiguity actually represents the sentences that can be parsed in multiple syntactical form. So what does it means actually? It means a sentence may be interpreted in more than one way. So that will be the meaning of parsing. So there is a possibility that a sentence can be actually parsed in the many syntactical forms. So one word can be just interpreted with the other more than one way. So that is an interpretation of syntactical. The doubt is that about which one among different classical and syntactical form is correct. So doubt will be there which form we have to just choose from that sentence. So in that case we have to be very particular. So let's see an example, then we will understand this. So for example, the sentence old man and woman is ambiguous. So we will see the sentence in the next slide. Here the doubt is that whether the adjective old attached with the both man and woman or men alone. So here with this three words, old man and woman. So that is interpreting actually, is this a old man? Is this a both? Is this a only man alone? So likewise that this type of ambiguity is called as a syntactical ambiguity. Now the syntactical ambiguity is also called as a structural ambiguity that can be further classified into two other ambiguities. So namely, first is scope ambiguity, second is attachment ambiguity. So let's see scope ambiguity. Scope ambiguity occurs when the scope of the part of a sentence is unclear. When the word has been kept in one sentence, that is not going to interpret any meaning out of that, or any clear meaning out of that. So it usually happens when a sentence have two or more quantifiers. So what are quantifiers? The words like when we can say every, any, some, likewise that it is going to just interpret some other things with this particular word. So for example, if I would say the sentence that same sentence, old men and women were taken to safe locations. So this is having the following two interpretations. So first interpretation can be old man and woman were taken to safe location, and second interpretation can be old man and woman were taken to safe locations, and in that again other interpretation can be there, old man were taken to the safe locations, right? So based on the scope of this particular sentence, that is going to give the quantifier. So that is here old woman and that is old man. So two quantifiers are there for these sentences, and the meaning of the sentence that is going to be decided, that is going to just change according to what right particular quantifier we will use for our for our need. So then for instance, suppose we will see if the scope is given to the quantifier old men and women, then the meaning one will be right, that is going to be arise. So old men and women were taken to the safe location. So that was the first interpretation, first sentence. If I would say if the scope is given to the quantifier old men and women, then the meaning of two will be arises. So that will be the the second sentence will be the correct sentence for this thing, this quantifier. So that will called as a syntactical ambiguity. Now that was the scope ambiguity. Now in that also attachment ambiguity is there. So when attachment ambiguity occurs when the uncertainty of attaching a phrase, a clause is going to be part of sentence. So when we will attach any phrase, or we can say any of the clause, then it is going to be just giving the uncertain meaning. So this type of ambiguity usually happens when a sentence has more than two prepositional phrases. So let's see with the example. For instance, in the sentence, the boy saw the girl with the telescope. So the boy saw the girl with the telescope. What does it mean? It is going to give the uncertainty that is about relating to the prepositional phrase, means with the telescope. So there can be the boy or the girl. So that can be the either it will be boy, either it will be girl. So this could end up with the following meaning based on the attachment. So there can be two interpretation. So it can be, first interpretation can be the boy saw the girl carrying a telescope, and next interpretation can be the boy saw the girl throw the telescope. Means here the girl is carrying a telescope in the first sentence, and in the second sentence the boy itself, he saw the girl throw the using the telescope. So the first meaning arise, it will be when the preposition phrase with the girl will be attached. Whereas the second one arises if we attach the boy prepositional with the this particular sentence. So that is an interpretation of this type of ambiguity, attachment ambiguity. Now let's move to the other type of ambiguity, that is semantic ambiguity. Even after the syntax and the meaning of individual words are resolved, we can say still there are more than one way of reading a sentence. So as a user, as a reader, when we will read the sentences, the way of just reading the sentence can be different. So this type of ambiguity is typically related to the interpretation of sentences. So what the reader is going to interpret in their context. So for example, let's take a sentence. The dog has been domesticated for more than 1000 years. So that means it could be interpreted with the semantics like the first sentence can be a particular dog has been domesticated, either, or we can say the dog species has been domesticated. So there can be two interpretations out of that with the semantic analysis. So this type of semantic ambiguity is an uncertainty that is going to occur when a word, phrase, or we can say sentence is more than one interpretation. Let's take another example. So Ram kissed his son and so did John. So here again, that is another type of sentence. So here the one person is doing one thing and another person is going whatever the first person is doing, likewise that. So the interpretation can be there. The first interpretation is Ram kissed his son, right? So Ram kissed his son and John too kissed Ram's son. So that is the interpretation of first word, first sentence. And then again the second interpretation, Ram kissed his son and John kissed his son, the actual meaning of this particular second sentence. So this type of ambiguities can be called as a semantic ambiguity. Next type of ambiguity is discourse ambiguity. So discourse level actually pre-processing processing needs a shared word, or we can say shared knowledge. So and the interpretation of these all will be carried out using the context. So anaphoric ambiguity comes under this type of discourse level. So let's see anaphoric ambiguity. Anaphors, that are the entities that have been previously introduced into the discourse. So it means when we are reading a sentence, when we are writing a sentence, in that already the anaphors will be just written, and then in that discourse the context of the sentence will be carried forward. So anaphora in linguistics is about the referring backwards, right? So already it has been written and again we have to just give the reference to that particular word. So or we can say an entity in another context in a text. So that is a discourse type of ambiguity, anaphoric ambiguity, right? So consider an example. The horse ran up the hill and it was very steep. It soon got tired. So these three sentences is giving some reference that is actually interrelated with each other. So the anaphoric reference of it. So here it will be the going to just take the reference of this horse. So horse is going to be just do these all things in that context. So it is actually going to make two types of ambiguities. So the anaphoric ambiguity, the first we can see steep applies to the surface, hence it can be hill. So the horse ran the hill, it was very steep. So here we have seen steep. So a steep can be there if it is a surface, and that can be a hill. Tired applies to animate object, hence it can be horse. So these two are interpreting the different meanings actually, right? So likewise that the discourse analysis, discourse ambiguity can be differ with the anaphors. Now the some words of anaphor in a sentence have little we can say sometimes no meaning out of that of their own, but instead referring to other words in the same or other sentences. So this possibility can again occur with the other type of sentences. Now, anaphoric ambiguity refers to such a situation where an anaphor have more than one possible reference in same we can say with the other sentence. So that it's the possibility. Now let's discuss about some facts about anaphoric ambiguity. So anaphors actually are mostly pronouns, and we can say sometimes noun phrases in some cases. So let's see example. Darshan plays keyboard. He loves music. So these two sentences are there, and he is used as an anaphor here, and that is referring Darshan is actually love music. So in this sentence, the anaphor he is a pronoun actually. So that is some facts about using the anaphoric ambiguities. So anaphoric references may not explicitly present in the previous sentence. So that we have seen with the two examples. The anaphors actually were not present in the first started sentences, but in the other sentences it was just carried forward with the anaphors, with the word anaphors. So instead it may refer a part of entity. So the other in the second example it was used, he was used, so those were called as a part of an entity, like was antecedent in the previous sentence, right? So in the previous sentence it will be the antecedent of that particular sentence. So that is a anaphor. Next type of ambiguity is pragmatic ambiguity. So pragmatic ambiguity actually is going to refer where the content of a phrase gives it a multiple interpretation, right? So actually this will be used in the context of phrase when we are using the phrase in the different sentences, right? So one of the we can say this type of ambiguity, pragmatic ambiguity, is most of the hardest task in the NLP language. So the problem involves actually processing the user intention here, behavior of user, sentiment of user, belief of user, and models of user. So these all we can say senses will be there in the sentence, and all of which are highly complex tasks together. So how to just take those, how to just remove those, how to make simple those, let's see with the example. Although we can call pragmatic ambiguity arises when the statement is not specific and the context does not provide information needed to clarify the statement, and that information also can be missing and must be inferred. So this is other type of interpretation about this pragmatic ambiguity. So particularly when the sense is not we cannot sense the particular phrase, what does it means with the context, that information will be insufficient when it will not going to clarify the sentence. If something is missing, then we can just say that is a pragmatic type of ambiguity is there. So basically this pragmatic level of linguistic processing deals with the real world knowledge. So here actually when we are just taking up the pragmatic ambiguity, all type of tasks we have to go through with that. So here actually real world knowledge and understanding should be there, how the that is going to impact the meaning of what is going to be communicated. So basically that will be just based on the user, what he is communicating, what he is going to pass with the different belief, different emotions and different sentiments. So to just deal with that, that will be very very difficult, but although with the pragmatic ambiguity disambiguation we have to do that by analyzing the contextual dimension of the document and queries that a more detailed representation can be derived. So that is a one method to do that. Pragmatic ambiguity is arising when the statement is not specific and the context does not provide any information that is going to need to clarify the sentence. So in the as I have said in the earlier slide also, the ambiguity, pragmatic ambiguity is not going to just sense the phrase what the user is going to tell about the here his belief, his motive and his discourse, his thoughts, what is his emotion and sentiments are there. In that context the sentence will be incomplete and then we have to derive the different meanings out of that. We have to just do the disambiguation out of that. Now let's focus on the pragmatics. So what pragmatics does? Pragmatics focuses on the conversational implications. So implications. So when the actually this is all about when the user communicate with each other. So the conversational implicature is a process in which the speaker amplifies and listener infers. So basically the communication occurs when the speaker just speak to anybody else who is the listener. So here the speaker is going to imply actually and the listener is going to just infer that whatever the speaker is just telling to him. So that is called as a conversational implicature task, right? Process. Although we can say the simply it is a study of about the sentence that are not directly spoken. So in some cases that is indirectly the a speaker is just implying the other phrases or sentences upward to the listener. So in that case also we have to just understand that, and also the machine model is going to just understand these all. So it is a study of how people use the different languages to just communicate with each other. So how the speaker is just speaking something to the listener as he can interpret those in a correct way. Let's see example. So that is, for example, tourist checking out of the hotel. He is going to check out the hotel. So he is saying to the waiter, waiter, go upstairs to my room and see if my sandals are there. Don't be late. I have to catch the train in 15 minutes. So he has interpreted 3 words to the waiter here when he was checking out. So let's see whatever can be there in the next slide. So in the next sentence, the waiter is running upstairs and coming back panting and saying to the customer, yes sir, they are there. So here we can see clearly the waiter is falling short of expectation to the tourist, that since he does not understand the pragmatics of the situation. So means there were 3 sentences the tourist has said to a waiter, but in that context the this waiter is going to interpret, yes sir, they are there. So what is there means the sandals are there, he is going late, whatever. So these situations, first the waiter has to just classify what is pragmatics, then he need to interpret. So here we can see the word sense, the sentence senses are not clear. What is his belief, what is his emotions, what he is trying to say to the waiter, and waiter is also, he did not understand clearly what the tourist was saying to him. So in that way In that way, that type of actually pragmatics can occur in this type of communication to two persons, with the two persons, right? So roughly, we can say a pragmatic ambiguity occurs in a requirement if different readers give the different interpretations out of that, depending on the context of the requirement. So what does mean? We have not interpreted this thing. It means actually when two people are just discussing, when they are speaking to each other, communicating to each other, they can communicate, and what the other person is just understanding, in which context he is understanding his sentence, his word or phrases, that is the more important than the writing, saying the things, just listening the things. So likewise that the pragmatic ambiguity is actually occurs when the one person is just understanding the different meanings out of that interpretations in the context what he understand or she understand, actually depending on the context of the meaning of that particular sentence, a particular phrase, a particular word. So there can be many interpretations with the communication to the same. If I'll say with the same sentence, we have seen here two sentences. If I will interpret this sentence, that can be totally different when some other person is going to just analyze these two sentences, and he have to just identify the ambiguities, and he have to just disambiguate those. So that is particularly upon the reader, upon the listener, how he is going to just read that, how he is going to listen that, in what context he is going to understand that sentence, and how by himself or herself he is going to, as he is going to just interpret those in his meanings. So that is a context of the requirement, context of the need of that particular situation, we can say. So according to situation, the interpretation can be different. Now I will show you about the context of a requirement, and that includes the other requirement of the same document. So that I have discussed. So with influence of the understanding of the requirement and the background knowledge, I will say, of the reader. So he is going to give a meaning to the concept expressed in the requirement. So let's see an example with this table has been shown here. So we will see the same interpretation of the sentence, how differently it will be just done by the two persons. So let's see an example. The sentence is, do you know what time is it? So it means the direct meaning of this can be the semantic meaning, asking for the current time. The sentence is interpreting what is the current time now. Other interpretation can be there, that is pragmatic meaning of that with the situation and the context, what the reader is understanding. So actually the reader is understanding expressing anger to someone who missed the due time or something. So that can be different interpretation when it will be just interpreting with the sense of that particular, a context of that particular sentence. Now the second example we will see, will you crack open the door? I am getting hot. So the interpretation direct meaning can be there, semantic meaning to break, right? And the other meaning can be there, that is pragmatic meaning, open the door just a little. So that is the interpretation that can be totally different. Here break, here totally, that is just referring to the open the door slightly. Next sentence is, the chicken is ready to eat. So what interpretation can be there? The direct interpretation, semantic interpretation. The chicken is ready to eat. It's breakfast. Okay. So that is for example. Breakfast is example. Now the other meaning, that is pragmatic meaning of that. The cooked chicken is ready to be served. So that means the context of the sentence can be just different with the direct and indirect we can say interpretation out of the situation as per the reader or listener. Now we will see the difference between the semantics and pragmatics. So that is very important to understand the what is semantic, what is pragmatic. So semantic is about literal meaning of the words and their interrelations, right? On the other hand, if I will call the pragmatic, that actually focuses on the inferred meaning that speaker and listener perceive, right? So that is totally different to each other. Let's see again one difference. Semantic is a study of meaning, more precisely the study of the relation between the linguistic expressions and their meanings together. Now, if I'll say the pragmatics is the study of context, right? So, likewise, we have to understand. Or more precisely, if I'll say that is a study of a way context that can going to be influence our understanding of linguistic utterances. So here, utterances is nothing but when the user is saying something with some slang words, and that is not going to just that is not clear actually, and that is referring actually the real meaning of that. So those called as a utterance. So semantic is basically a study of meaning. Pragmatics is a study of context, right? So that was all about the today's topic. Thank you for watching.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.